Hello and welcome to the weekly vmcampos Comic Book Club. This is the series where we talk about the first issues coming out this week on New Comic Book Day in about 10 minutes or less. First issues are a great way to get into a series, and this show is all about revealing those great issue number ones. First up is Avengers Mech Strike number 1 of 5, written by Jed MacKay, art by Carlos Magno. Basically, it's the Avengers plus mech suits? That's all I can really say about that. The description is, the Avengers are confronted with an unstoppable new menace, one that is seemingly impervious to their every strength. Yep, Avengers in mech suits. Next, King in Black, Black Knight number 1, written by Simon Spurrier and art by Jesus Says. The Black Knight duels the King in Black. So everyone's getting in on the action versus Null in this company-wide crossover at Marvel. The thing that's always been interesting is, the blade grants Dane incredible power, but so too does it consume him with a lust of violence and destruction. Got some team-ups going on versus Null. Next at DC, we've got Future State Legion of Superheroes number 1 of 2. Whatever happened to the Legion of Superheroes? The team is no more, and the United Planets are in total chaos, as one of the Legion's own has turned on the entire galaxy. So here's one of the stories that's further along in the DC continuity, so it's interesting to see the fates of Shadow Lass, Triplicate Girl, Brainiac 5, and Bouncing Boy. Next, Future State Suicide Squad number 1 of 2. The Suicide Squad enters the Future State era, as Amanda Waller uses Task Force X to save the world and remake it in her image. But what happens when the team shows up to stop her? So we get a whole new Suicide Squad team here, part of Future State. I'm really liking the Derek Chu cardstock variant. Over at Image, we've got Deep Beyond, number 1 of 12. This is written by Mirka Andolfo and David Goy, art by Andrea Boccardo et al. This is pretty cool. It takes place in the future. It's an underpopulated Earth, devastated by the millennial bug. It's another one of these horror series. We've got Mirka Andolfo only as the writer, which is interesting because I really like her art a lot. Her writing is pretty cool, and here she teams up with David Goy. Image is also printing Graphic Fantasy number 1, Facsimile Edition. This came out way back in 1982, written by Eric Larson and art by Eric Larson because it features the debut of The Dragon, aka Savage Dragon. Now I could have sworn that he used to say that the version in Graphic Fantasy was not the same Savage Dragon that debuted in The Savage Dragon, but nowadays I guess he does count it as the same dragon, so check it out for yourself, Facsimile Edition. Over at Dark Horse Comics, I picked Fear Case number 1 of 4, written by Matt Kint and art by Tyler Jenkins. It's a horrifying detective series. A no-nonsense Secret Service agent and his new age partner investigate a mysterious box known as the Fear Case. Basically, it appears throughout history, through all of the great tragedies of history. I like how it ties with the real world as well as something fictional. There's also a psychotic cult and otherworldly forces. Nice. Moving over to IDW, we've got Transformers Beast Wars number 1. Did you know that it's the 25th anniversary of Beast Wars? This is written by Eric Burnham and art by Josh Burcham. To be honest, I never really watched Beast Wars myself. I was more of the original Transformers ilk, but I like how they're bringing them back 25 years later in a comic book, so this is an issue number 1 to jump on for some nostalgia or to get into it for the first time. Speaking of jumping on board, how about TMNT The Last Ronin number 1 3rd printing? This has been an incredibly hot series. This is going over to 3rd printing. If you're into more of the collectible aspect of things, 3rd printing for one of the non-big 2 publishers is often a little bit valuable because they're just such small print runs. And this has been a hot book that everyone's wanted. People want that 1st printing, and now we've got 2nd print, 3rd print. It's about the turtles in the future. Moving over to Boom Studios, there's Luna number 1 of 5. I'm picking the Jenny Frison cover. It is freaking amazing. It's this great psychedelic cover. This is written by Maria Lovett, and art is also by Lovett. Basically, we've got secret blood rituals, powerful drugs, and sex runneth amok. And it'll bring Teresa face to face with the truth about the family, herself, and a dark secret behind her dreams. Very trippy series. At Dynamite, I'm picking SONJAVERSAL #1, the cosplay cover. This is written by Christopher Hastings and interior art by Pasquale Qualano. The description here is hilarious. This is the most important comic book to ever come out in the history of the world, starring Red Sonja, Blue Sonja, Green Sonja, Orange Sonja, Saint Sonja, Hell Sonja, and many, many more. So it's Crisis on Infinite Sonjas. Get the cosplay cover. Aftershock Comics is publishing Maniac of New York #1, written by Elliot Kalan, art by Andrea Mutti. 4 years ago, a masked slasher began stalking the streets of New York City, and now everyone's used to it. But a couple of detectives want to clear their good names and catch the killer. Elliot Kalan worked on The Daily Show and Mystery Science Theater 3000. Sign me up. Behemoth Comics is publishing A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night #1, second printing, written by Anna Lily Amirpour and art by Michael Deweese. This is the sort of comic book adaptation of the movie. In an Iranian ghost town home to prostitutes, junkies, pimps, and other sordid souls, a bastion of depravity and hopelessness, where a lonely vampire girl stalks the town's most unsavory inhabitants. Devil's Due Comics is publishing ENCODED #1, written by Josh Baylock and Mark Powers, art by Jethro Morales, and cover art by Phil Hester. I love this cover. It's sort of like a mechanical fetus, and the story's all about that as well. What if our fears of a tyrannical AI turn out to be unfounded? Aurelius may never have become sentient, but things are not what they seem. And lastly, at Oni Press, if you can't get enough Rick and Morty, we've got Rick and Morty Worlds Apart #1, written by Josh Trujillo and art by Jarrett Williams, based on the Season 4 episode. Basically, it's the return of the Slut Dragons and an all-new tantalizing adventure where only Morty can save them. And when fascist Teddy Rick shows up and ruins Rick's ultimate vacation plan, no one is safe. Cover #1 by Tony Fleeks is pretty fun. And there you go, those were a variety of first issues debuting this week, Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. Which ones did you like? Which ones did I miss? Tell me all about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, battle the Minotaur, all that good stuff, to keep up to date with everything that I do, all about comic books, Magic the Gathering, and more. I've got comic book reviews, comic book top 10 lists, comic book shorts, and more. This has been the weekly vmcampos Comic Book Club, and I'll see you next week.